Man, what a game that was on a Saturday night in the snow, in the very cold fridge that houses the Very Cold Lasagna. What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Very Cold Lasagna, the podcast that houses a safe and open listening platform for casual, cold, and even the dumbest takes on the world of WWE, AEW, the NFL, and the wide world of pro wrestling and sports in general. I am your host, Dylan Lasagna. Welcome to today's episode number 85 of this freezing cold podcast that houses that same Very Cold Lasagna that I mentioned houses that Very Cold Lasagna, but also has some spice into it. And today, we're going to be talking about one thing, and that is the 49ers Divisional Playoff game against the Green Bay Packers in cold-ass Lambeau Field. And man, what a game this was, huh? I initially thought, when I talked about it in my Divisional Playoff preview, that, the Niners got lucky. They definitely got lucky. They lucked out in their wild card game against the Dallas Cowboys. But, the Green Bay Packers were definitely not the Dallas Cowboys. They were the top seed in the NFC. They had their MVP in Aaron Rodgers. And, the Niners, they were going to have to rely on Jimmy Garoppolo and that suspect secondary to take them as far as they can if they wanted to have a chance to upset the Packers and go on to the NFC Championship game. That said, I picked them, not the Niners, but the Packers to fulfill the Niners playoff prophecy and finally smash them, super smashed, ultimate them in on their own way to the NFC title game. So looking at this game prior, it was a week 3 rematch where the Niners were hosting the Packers at home. The Niners erased a fourth quarter deficit turned that into a 28-27 lead. The problem was the Niners left too much time on the clock for Aaron Rodgers to go march down the field, burn that secondary, and allow Mason Crosby to hit a game-winning field goal to beat the 49ers 30-28 all the way back in September in week 3. And it was the time, I guess. It was still pretty early in the season for the 49ers and that defense. And so it was for the Green Bay Packers offense. So going into this game, like I said, the Niners are still a couple days removed from their wild card game against the Dallas Cowboys, the 3-seeded Dallas Cowboys. And, they got strong performances from their defensive line, their pass rush, and, Elijah Mitchell and Deebo Samuel had a strong day on the ground. But Jimmy Garoppolo, he made that one mistake in the fourth quarter, throwing it a wide open interception, and that allowed the Dallas Cowboys offense and their newly crowned MVP, the Nickelodeon valuable player, Dak Prescott, to rally back into the game. But the Niners managed to hold on because the Dallas Cowboys are stupid as fuck. They don't know how to correct their mistakes. And the Niners survived 23-17 in Dallas. And, well, here are the Packers. Meanwhile, for them, another successful season for Green Bay, 13-4, getting the NFC North once again, and laying claim to that top seed. They were on bye, watching all the chaos that was happening in the wild card round. The journey there, obviously, lots of attention towards Aaron Rodgers. But other than that, it was all business on the field for the MVP and this Packers offense. And their defense, too, pretty good. So, going to this game, there are a lot of things to pay attention towards health-wise on both sides. Nick Bosa exited the Dallas game with a concussion, and you're wondering if he was going to play. Fred Warner also had an ankle injury that took him out of the game. Jimmy Garoppolo also had a shoulder strain that I'm not sure where he suffered it, but it was probably on the interception. And then you find out much later by game time that their starting corner, Ambry Thomas, is going to be out with a bone bruise in his shin. So even more bad news for the 49ers. So for the Packers, though, you get pretty much everyone on your defense back. Jair Alexander, Zadarius Smith, Whitney Merciless. There's one key player that they wouldn't get back, though. And that was their lineman, David Bakhtiari, the the glue that kept everything together on the offensive line. And Aaron Rodgers, even though he had him in the season's finale against the Detroit Lions, he would not have him here against the 49ers in this very important playoff game. So for the 49ers, they did get Nick Bosa. They did get Fred Warner. They got a less than 50% Jimmy Garoppolo in this very cold game. They did not get Ambry Thomas, though. So it was going to be a 49ers secondary without Ambry Thomas going up against A-Rod and Devontae Adams. So, maybe perhaps their playoff prophecy of them getting smashed was finally going to come to fruition without Ambry Thomas in the lineup. And, things are not that good for the Packers offense too. That offensive line, not so great. Against the 49ers pass rush, that's scary for them. That is really scary for them. So, in spite of all of that, like I said, the Niners looked out of a collapse. And they were grateful enough for the Cowboys to make so many mistakes that they made, especially on the final drive where Dak Prescott decided to do a draw and run it down the middle instead of trying to run out of bounds and try to stop the clock. And then when he did draw it, they had very little time to spike the ball, and lo and behold, the game is over. So unlike the Cowboys, the Packers are not the Dallas Bears. So this could have been the week where the 49ers playoff prophecy got filled. Jimmy G, that fluky secondary, got a super smashing of epic proportions in the cold ass weather of Green Bay. So last week, I picked the Packers to beat the 49ers in their super smashing of playoff prophecies. So we actually get to the game on Saturday night. I was at work and, I was secretly watching this. Good thing I was doing actual computer work instead of being, hands-on on the floor. I work in a warehouse. So fortunately I was on the computer, during my shift. So we get to the first quarter, and you see right from the gate, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams imposing their will on the 49ers secondary, pretty much torching them and beating them down. I imagined this was going to happen. And they march their way down to the goal line, and they set up an early A.J. Dillon touchdown, and it's already 7-0. The Niners secondary looked lifeless without Ambry Thomas to lock down on Devontae Adams. And, Dante Johnson was starting in place of him because I guess Kyle Shanahan didn't want to go with Josh Norman early on, so I guess that's something. So, early on, it looked like we were going to see the smashing that the prophecy had awaiting for the 49ers. And, things got even worse because the offense couldn't do shit. The running game wasn't going, but the offensive line gave up the first of many sacks on their opening possession, thanks to Tom Compton not being able to recognize where Rashawn Gary was, the Packers defensive lineman. And Jimmy Garbage-Fail got sacked for the first time on the opening drive in the first of many. And, for as much as the Jimmy Garbage-Fail got sacked, after the opening drive for the Packers, they were clearly struggling. Because the 49ers defense were trying to shift the momentum of this game. They were playing lights out after that drive. So Fred Warner made a big play on the second defensive outing for the 49ers. He forced a fumble on tight end Mercedes Lewis. Dre Greenlaw recovered it, but the 49ers couldn't do anything with it. Brandon Ayuk almost turned it over, but the referees bailed him out and overturned the call. And Jimmy Garbage-Fail took another sack on third down because the offensive line is shit. Was playing like shit in that game. My God, Tom Compton and Daniel Brunskill were complete butt cheeks like they've been for most of the season. For example, they're showing during the replays that Tom Compton was getting beat by it was either Rashawn Gary or somebody else on the edge, or it was in the interior, Daniel Brunskill, looking at ghosts. He didn't even recognize the pass rush coming. He was like, what are you doing? What are you watching? It's are we on LSD? Are we on drugs? Are we on high on that crack cocaine that Oh, we're seeing stars. We're trying to await the snow so we can make some snow angels. Like, what were those two doing on that night? So, once again, the 49ers defense, again, coming on the shutdown of Rodgers in the pack. But, man, that Niners offense just couldn't get anything going. Even George Kittle, he dropped a pass. He dropped a rare wide open pass from Jimmy G, and Jawan Jennings, the dude that has been clutch on third down, he dropped the pass, and the Niners had to punt yet again. So far in the first quarter, I mean, not everything was Jimmy Garbage Fail's fault. I mean, soon that will be coming, but the garbage was from the entire offense, especially that offensive line. So we get to the second quarter, and the story pretty much remained the same. The defense was really heating up. They were amping up the pressure. They were trying to stay warm as hell in that cold ass weather. But the offense still stuck in that very cold fridge, eating that very cold lasagna. Tom Compton playing like total shit, shitting the bed for Jimmy Garbage Fail. Jimmy was playing, still not that great, but he tried to make some things happen, but his offensive line clearly failing him. Now, towards the tail end of the first half, the offense finally got some rhythm in. They managed to get in the red zone. Jimmy finally got his first completion all game to Kittle on a really, really impressive sideline catch. And Elijah Mitchell got a flip pass from Jimmy that got them into the red zone. But then of course, Jimmy Garbage failed to notice George Kittle wide open in the end zone. And when he did, George Kittle was already on the run, and Jimmy G was already on the run. And, of course, instead of throwing it out of bounds to just throw it away, he threw it towards Kittle, and then the Packers were already right there to intercept that ass. And you wonder why people like me are always, assuming that we're hating on Jimmy Garbage Fail. You're always wondering, why, it's just one mistake. It's just one interception. No, this is the personification of why the Niners are and should be going to move on from Jimmy Garbage Fail next season to Trey Lance. This right here is the garbage that Jimmy is presenting to the entire world, the national televised audience that is casual and hardcore NFL fans. It's like, do you guys really want to keep believing in this garbage fail of Jimmy Garoppolo? Do you? So anyway, the 49ers tried to burn some timeouts to get the ball back and tried to make a 2-minute drill out of something, but completely backfired. Jimmy Ward, the safety, he gets his ass burned in coverage by Aaron Jones, and lo and behold, the Packers back in the red zone. At that rate, the Packers were probably gonna get the smashing ready for commencement, and they're gonna strike in the end zone. Aaron Rodgers finally gonna break out of that mental mold. But then Nick Bosa here out of nowhere strip sacks Aaron Rodgers, holds him to a field goal. But then out of nowhere, the special teams gets a miracle, and Jimmy Ward makes up for his lapse in coverage and blocks the field goal to end the half and keeps it 7-0. So it could have been much worse. It definitely could have been much worse. But damn, that offense looked really shitty. That offense was really bad all first half. Right guard Tom Compton was getting bodied by the pass rush, and so was Daniel Brunskill. And man, that right side of the line, it really needs some addressing this offseason. And the running game was practically non-existent. Even with Deebo Samuel, it was going nowhere. And the offense only got going in the last 2 minutes of the first half. And then, of course, when they got going, Jimmy Garbage Fail struck with that red zone interception. So the only thing that kept the Niners in this game was the defense. Aside from that opening drive, they woke up and put the clamps down on Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. So chance after chance for them to put their stamp on the pack, but the offense not holding up its end of the bargain. And at some point, going into the half, the Pack were going to lay the smackdown on if the 49ers offense didn't wake the hell up. So we get to the third quarter. Niners get the ball first. And Deebo Samuel gets the Niners their best drive of the game going. He gets a nice kickoff return, and the Niners are finally marching down to the field. They get it into near the goal line, but then penalties everywhere. One on Elijah Mitchell, grabbing the face mask on the run, and then Trent Williams gets flagged for a false start. And then I think Jimmy G got sacked yet again. I don't remember, but then either way, they had to settle for 3 points. So, sure, 7-3 deficit, but then the defense had to play again. It could have been a tie at 7 apiece, but then penalties. So here comes the defense, and they're still red hot as ever. They continually put the heat on Aaron Rodgers, and, they're forcing him to get the ball out much quicker than the first half. And here we go, another 3 and out. So the defense, again, doing its part, but the offense still can't do shit. And Jimmy Garbagefale is still throwing near pick sixes. He's freaking floating the ball up in the air. He's lobbing it as if in the NBA, you toss it up in the air and then you set it up for a lob dunk. This is not the NBA, dude. You're not trying to put it in the basket, trying to put that thing for a lob. Oh my god, that was so insane. So anyway, towards the end of the third, Packers were kind of clicking again. Instead of trying to make that big play to Davante Adams, they decided to go onto the ground, try to steal formula from the 49ers, attacking with Aaron Jones, making some quick throws. And, they did manage to give Davante Adams a brief cameo, but when we got to the fourth quarter, Eric Armstead got a big sack on Aaron Rodgers, and Mason Crosby had to settle for a field goal. 10-3 deficit. Okay. The Niners still could get into this game, if they get a touchdown on offense. Unfortunately, when they did manage to get down to the field, get into the red zone, they managed to do a really odd call with Elijah Mitchell. I didn't understand why Kyle Shanahan decided to do this. So you get a 4th and 1, and it's a very manageable 4th and 1. They had Elijah Mitchell run it straight down the middle, but yet you have Jimmy Garbagefale, who is pretty damn good. This is the one thing that Jimmy G is actually good at. He is good at doing the quarterback sneak. Why couldn't Kyle Shanahan do that? At least then you could have gotten the first down and extend the drive, but instead you give the ball back to the Packers and hope that the defense comes up with something, which in fact they did. So the pass rush got to Rodgers yet again, and 3 and out. But then the craziness ensued. The Niners got a freaking late ass Christmas miracle. So Jordan Willis, on the special teams unit, for whatever reason, the Packers are punting, and then Jordan Willis, out of nowhere, breaks free, blocks a punt, and the ball's up in the air for a very long time, and it lands right next to the safety, Talanoa Hufanga. He recovers it, waltzes into the end zone, and here we are, 10 all, tied the tie game. Goddamn. The 49ers special teams saves the day. Holy shit, who expected this? The Packers garbage ass special teams strikes out yet again, and especially at the worst possible time. The special teams for the Packers has been so bad, my god. And then when the Packers get back on offense, it has become very clear that it is not just the defense that's been playing well for the 49ers, but that offense and Aaron Rodgers. I guess they ate that very cold lasagna that was in the fridge, and they've just gone ice cold because Aaron Rodgers, on third down on their last drive, he slightly overthrew Davante Adams in double coverage, and they have to go 3 and out. They have to punt again. So this spicy 49ers defense has been playing lights out. Even the secondary, I'll give them a little bit of credit. They've been doing pretty damn well. So the Niners get one last chance to tie this game. Otherwise, they're going to overtime. But unlike in week 3, they milk the clock. They want to milk this baby down to the wire for Robbie Gould. So it was like a reverse of fortune. So Jimmy G gets some decent throws into Debo and Kittle. Shanahan going for what works best for him. More runs with Elijah Mitchell and Debo. And, the Packers are trying to do all they can to stop the clock, give Aaron Rodgers one last chance. But what the defense couldn't do was stop Debo Samuel. So Debo Samuel gets a critical first down to get into Robbie Gould's field goal range. And in a reverse of fortune, Robbie Gould was good as gold. Hit it dead center into the upright. In the San Francisco 49ers, the number 6 seed in the NFC, the playoff prophecy has not yet been fulfilled as they upset the top seeded Green Bay Packers 13-10. Like, holy fucking shit. In all honesty, the 49ers did not deserve to win this game. Like, they had no chance in this game for 4 3/4 of a quarter. Like, Tom Compton and Daniel Brunskill on the offensive line were garbage. They failed in protecting the garbage fail that was Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy G didn't help matters too with his garbage playing with floating passes, and he didn't even high tip passes either, but he didn't help matters with staying in the pocket and throwing in red zone interception and near interceptions too. But still, it doesn't help when all 3 of those guys were not playing great. Now, the offense only woke up because of the grit of the defense and the miracle by the special teams. So they really got the benefit of the doubt by the defense and that special teams miracle. So when that happened, Kittle and Debo finally got going, and Debo finally was able to break through that weak Packers run defense. Now, for the Packers, they had all game long to smash the 49ers, but Aaron Rodgers choked. He once again choked under the bright playoff lights. And the rest of the Packers offense didn't really help matters too, especially when they didn't have their top lineman in Bakhtiari. But Rodgers is the guy leading this team under center, and he wasn't making a lot of plays when it mattered most. And sure, there were guys like Mercedes Lewis and the reserve receivers like Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb that failed to step up. But damn, Rodgers was nowhere after the opening drive touchdown. So all in all, if we're realistically speaking, the Green Bay Packers lost this game more than the 49ers wanted. Now, credit to the 49ers defense for really keeping them in the game and that miracle play by the special teams. But this was on the Packers for choking this up and laying their grave for potentially life without Aaron Rodgers next season. For the 49ers, color me surprised. They're going to the NFC Championship game in the same place where they clinched their playoff spot all the way back in Week 18. What was that, 3 or 4 weeks ago? Back in Los Angeles, SoFi Stadium, with a Super Bowl trip on the line in that same stadium against Matthew Stafford and the LA Rams. Like, holy fuck. Holy fuck, what a trilogy that's going to be. And, man, I've been so wrong. I'll admit it, I have been so damn wrong. Maybe not. Until they actually win this damn thing next week, I will definitely be wrong. So, quickly, some winners and losers. The defense, definitely the big winners of this game. They took a early hit pregame with Ambry Thomas not going to be able to play with that bone bruise. And sure, they got gashed by Rodgers and Davante Adams on the opening drive. But after that, no more of that bullshit. And it was definitely the wake-up call that they needed because they put Aaron Rodgers in the freezer. That pass rush became frenetic and feisty against a Bakhtiari-less offensive line to force Rodgers to get rid of that ball early, allowed a secondary to prevent receivers not named Davante Adams from gaining an inch on his passes. And they also sacked him 5 times, most of which came on third downs to force 3 and outs. So everyone stepped up big time on defense when their offense couldn't do jack shit in this game. And yes, that includes washed ass Josh Norman filling in for Dante Johnson for one play. The special teams, I can't believe I'm saying this, the special teams has been kind of a weak point for the 49ers this season, but when it mattered most in this game, they really showed up and played a really damn good game. This special teams unit on the kickoffs, got good starting field position, even though the 49ers offense really didn't do anything at all with it. But obviously the biggest play of the game was the blocked punt, and that became the turning point of the game. Deebo Samuel, he continued to prove why he's the most important player in this Niners offense. He has toughness, he has versatility. He took a big hit from Green Bay defender Chris Barnes, and he managed to return after some time, a couple minutes off the field, and then on the last play of the game, he took a big hit to his knee, but it just turned out to be cramps, I guess, and he looked okay. So this guy continues to fight, and he continues to be an integral part of this offense, and he's definitely going to get paid in the offseason. Now for some losers. I mean, do I even need to say it? Jimmy Garbage fail. Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, once again, Jimmy continues to give the 49ers brass ammunition for why they should move on from him for Trey Lance next season. Aside from the right side of the offensive line being total shit, more on them later, he was floating his throws that against and also game Packers defense nearly resulted in pick sixes, and it could have led to the Niners getting mentally and physically smashed on Saturday night. He also again refused to run outside the pocket on most of his non-play action throws, and when he did, he got intercepted. So it's no wonder Kyle Shanahan is riding and dying again by the running game towards the NFC Championship, because he can't trust Jimmy like he never did. So if the Niners are going to get past the LA Rams in the title game next week, he's going to have to play infinitely times better than he has in the last two playoff games. Tom Compton and Daniel Brunskill, I'm not sure what they were smoking in this game. I don't know if they were awaiting the snow to make some snow angels, but they were getting constantly beat by this Packers defensive line, notably Rashawn Gary. And those two alone allowed 4 sacks to Jimmy Garbage fail. It's completely inexcusable by those two. And for two linemen that had been pretty bad for most of the season, the Niners seriously need to address the right side of the offensive line, because it's been a pretty weak point for them. And it's not a Niners loser, but it's a Packers loser, and that's the entire offense and their special teams. And Aaron Rodgers and the Packers yet again blanked out in a big playoff game. Rodgers got too flustered to throw to anyone not named Devontae Adams, and the running game led by Aaron Jones eventually taken out of the equation. In that special teams unit, God, that was horrible. That was so bad. You literally gave the Niners a chance to stay in this game. And sure, they've been horrible all year, but this was just the climax of their shittiness on Saturday. They allowed big kickoff returns. They shanked a punt. They allowed a punt to get blocked. And then the cherry on top, they could have also gotten flagged for having only 10 men on the field for the game-losing field goal. But I guess the referees were like, this is going to go through. So the Packers got themselves a top seed. But then we ask ourselves, for what? What did they get it for? So to end today's episode, we'll ask ourselves this. What does Kyle Shanahan need Jimmy Garoppolo to do? What's it going to take for Jimmy Garoppolo to be good? Especially when Kyle Shanahan is going to need a very complete game from Jimmy Garbage fail in the NFC Championship game against the Rams. If the Niners are going to surprise everybody like me next week, Jimmy G is going to have to shed his garbage fail label out the window and output his most mistake-free, clean game that he's ever had to offer. He has to balance out the red-hot performance of the defense and put out his best game. Now, the rest of this offense is too talented to be held back by one safe ass quarterback. Like, Kyle Shanahan can ride and die by the running game, like he did back in 2019 on the way to Super Bowl 54. But this Rams team is coming off perhaps one of the biggest wins in their season, even though they almost choked it away to the Tampa Bay Bucks. But this is a Rams team that's also one win away from becoming just the second team in NFL history to host the Super Bowl in its own stadium. So the Niners are gonna need a big ass game from Jimmy G next week. And then lastly, the Packers. I know, like, this is a Niners episode, but this is the Green Bay Packers. Like, this is literally a big ass chance for the Green Bay Packers to win one ring with Aaron Rodgers, and they really failed. They really failed when it matters most. This was like their last dance. Like, after everything that happened in the last year with Aaron Rodgers potentially wanting out, like, well before the season started, back at the 2021 draft, and then they resolved things. They made up. They hugged, and then the season happens. Aaron Rodgers has another MVP season, and then it ends like this. So this was literally their best chance to win one more ring for Rodgers with that offense and with that defense, and for Davante Adams and many others to potentially get their first. They failed. They absolutely failed after that opening drive. Absolutely, like, blanked out. They were like, okay, we got the touchdown, and then, we're gonna go and super smash, get that final smash ball, and then lay the smackdown on this 49ers team and fulfill their playoff prophecy. But that was absolutely nowhere to be seen on Saturday night. Now, unlike last year, the Packers enter an offseason of complete uncertainty because they are $44 million over the cap, meaning they don't have much money to spend in free agency because they have a lot of key players on tab to potentially leave the Packers, like Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Allen Lazard, two of their reserve receivers that have stepped up this year. Corners Rasul Douglas and Kevin King, and linebackers Whitney Merciless and Chris Barnes, and most importantly, their star receiver Davante Adams. Yeah, like, how are you going to resign any one of those guys, especially Davante? So it's going to be, like, interesting what happens to them. And then there's also the possibility of Rodgers wanting to go to play for someone else. It could be the Denver Broncos. It could be the Las Vegas Raiders. It could be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Rodgers and the Packers are probably going to head towards a divorce this offseason. We don't know when. We don't even know if it's going to happen. But either way, this is the Packers' last dance. This was literally their chance to get a Super Bowl with Rodgers under center, their last chance. But they totally screwed themselves. Rodgers screwed himself. Like, the Packers screwed the Packers. And by next season, we could definitely be looking at a very different Packers team. And the San Francisco 49ers, the 2021 San Francisco 49ers, may have played a big time role into that. So, hot damn. So what do you guys think about this divisional playoff victory for the San Francisco 49ers, who are moving on to the NFC Championship game to face the LA Rams in part 3 of their division rivalry of 2021? So let me know how you feel about that. But with that said, that is it for this episode of Very Cold Lasagna. I am your host, Bill Lasagna. Thank you for tuning in to this fine episode recapping the 49ers' victory in the divisional playoffs against the Green Bay Packers. And man, this divisional weekend was insane, and we're going to be talking about that real soon. So thank you for tuning in. Make sure you tune into everything in relation to Very Cold Lasagna, whether it's the social media or on the listening platforms, be it YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, and of course follow the social media pages on Twitter and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. Keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of pro wrestling and sports. Very cold in the fridge. Icy hot. Ice cold as ice, but also with that icy hot. Anyway, until next time, peace out.